who has a solitary pathology, and it ingrained that solitary pathology in youth, and is addicted to that solitary pathology. And you might be quite surprised by me saying they have to be shot through the face. Or you might be pleased by that. You might think, aye, where's my gun? So, the people who've preyed on you, Baton, have to be shot through the face. But wait for it, they're just a minuscule percentage of the gargantuan volume of people like that who've been specifically bred and multiplied by our friends, the genocidal Zionist Jews. But don't be anti-Semitic. And so, it's really quite simple. You are where you are right now because genocidal Zionist Jews see your entire country as animals, right? All the people there, right? Goyim. So, why would genocidal Zionist Jews breed cannibal sheep to prey on their own herd? Right? The clue was genocidal. Right? So basically, that's what's happened, right? And the way they set about it is the exact same way that all the Caesars did, and which is really simple. You go into a citadel with lies first, lies and lies, right? So you send in the liars, right? And what happens then is the liars start to enshrine into made-up rules that lying is a good thing, and that the lie is the truth. And the way they always start it is by telling females who are psychopaths, the majority of females are psychopaths, they tell that shite that they're being persecuted. Right? So, the vast majority of females, that's 2 out of every 3 Western females, are megalomaniacs. In other words, they've got no left frontal lobe function. And they've got no depth or peripheral brain function. They're morally vacant, and they are shite at working out how things are going to be in the future. And they're liars, so they'll just lie, however the outcome is, they'll just lie about it. So, in a nutcake, that crap have a very, very tiny emotional capacity. They have proto-emotions. Yet the Zionist Jews tell you these creatures are the more emotional. They're not. They're emotionally incontinent because they don't have a capacity to, retain whatever feeling they've got. They want you to experience it instead, and they are really garbage. Just garbage. And so they shouldn't be exposed to stressful situations. In fact, they create them though, because they're also addicted to excitement. Otherwise, they're flatlining. So, in a nutcake, right? They would send in the liars and then configure things so that these females would be told, you no longer need a man. And then what would happen is these cunts would go to kangaroo courts and destroy the man's life for existential pretenge. And then from there it became even more corrupt, where the female would marry the man specifically in order to then, a few years later, or however many months later, take him to this court, this kangaroo court, and fleece him. It's just demoralisation of a society. And what that would lead to is antisocial sons being born and antisocial daughters being produced again. So that would further Caesar's campaign, because these wee pricks wouldn't want to help their community. They've been preyed on by their single mother, who's a nymphomaniac, who's a paedophile, and she preys on them psychologically to get her quota of needing shot through the face done. She's a squawking cunt, right? And so, the squawking cunt needing shot through her fucking face produces these wee shitey boys, and they not only can be thrown into foreign campaigns to get this excitement, these sadomasochism addicted, transference obsessed spastics are obsessed with, they also can be relied upon to betray their neighbour. So by going in and telling females that they're being persecuted, which is not true, helps embolden the lying, evil cunts pretending, and she just runs with it. Right? She knows she's full of shit, right? And she just gets off on it. She wants a punch bag. She wants a male that she can batter fuck out of psychologically, physically, fiscally, and that's what you can rely on those fucking subhuman cunts to be like. That's 2 out of every 3 Western females has to be shot through the fucking face, right? An additional 1/4 need to be quarantined, right, for their own stress factors and their own boundary incontinence. Right? They need to be able to control themselves in a way that isn't, like anorexic, right? In a way that isn't wanting to target anybody else. Just a fucking state of calm happiness and peace emanating from that with toward people who are humane in return, and however, that's not what the genocidal Zionist Jews who copied the Romans model, not what they want. And I'll prove it, and this is all really important and directly related to you and your nervous breakdown, your exhaustion, your PTSD, right? If you go with this, if you understand this, if you understand, to be honest, it doesn't really matter to me if people believe what I'm saying or not. 2 and 2 is 4. It's got fuck all to do with me. It simply is 4. Right? And I'm simply reflecting that fact. The type of lunatic with shit for its brains that I'm profiling for your understanding, so you understand how it is you've ended up where you are, right? Basically, the more you understand about this, the freer you will be, the more raging you might get. However, I'll counsel you in a really good way that I think will help you enormously, right? And I believe I'm starting from a really good point with you, In other words, I believe you're a really good person, and that's rare for me to say. If you are Baton, right, I don't think you realise how good a person you truly are. And I don't think you realise how jealous or the scum you were kind towards. Truly are. That might even be your family members. Some of them may be abusive. You may have an abusive mother, for example, in your history. And once again, you will have fair weather friends with a silent R, right? And girlfriends who are just squawking, grossly inadequate, horrific monsters in your past as well. Now don't get me wrong, but Baton might be a female for all I know, in which case just change around the sex. Invariably, everything that you are taught in the West is the exact opposite, right? As you're taught it by people who are backward. Provably, the wiring of paedophiles is backward, the wiring of so-called homosexuals is backward, the wiring of females is backward. They're the opposite sex, and in most cases, the opposite of sex. A bit of light-heartedness there. So here's the thing, right? You ready? Right? Where do we begin with you, Baton? Where do we begin? Well, we want to make you happy, right? And the best way to make you happy is to make you understand, right? And to throw in as many funnies as I can. I could have made that joke much funnier, incidentally. It's actually, I recorded it in a video ages ago, and I've not edited it yet. So it was kind of like, I didn't want to repeat myself, and so that was what was going on there, if it wasn't as funny as it should have been. And so, the point is this, right? I want you to understand the simple fact, right? You have nerves in your prefrontal cortex, right? Spastics with shite for their brains have been preying on them. They've been deliberately preying on them, Baton. They've been deliberately choosing to try to cause you brain damage, right? Because they lack function there. So, like I said, these are the parts of your brain they prey on, these subhuman cunts, right? And because they lack it themselves, right, they become more aware of that. And once again, they practice seeming human and preying on these things. And you might not know yet that your so-called friends, your so-called family, your so-called lovers aren't human, right? Provably. And like I say, you've got these other videos to go and check that out, like Erol on psychopaths, blah, blah, blah. However, I've rechristened them unitards, right? Because they've got a solitary pathology, as I've mentioned, straight down the middle of the brain, as they're addicted to trying to cause you brain damage, right? Simple, right? Now, that's the cerebral psychopath. There's somatic who will punch you in the face and get their hit that way. It's really simple. And I'll break down how ridiculous a fucking arsehole the people who've targeted you truly are, right? When they were in infancy, right? And they still are in infancy, but they had function at the front of their brain, the vast majority of them, right? And they lost it because in infancy, they were subject to other people too prematurely and had tiny, tiny little proto-emotions. So they would fricassee, as I call it. And I'm telling you, hold on, I'll pull my strides up. When you see them fricassee, you cannot ever forget it. And it does look like that. Right? Genuinely, right? And whenever I've seen it, it's mainly females that exhibit it. However, they're megalomaniacal psychopaths and always tiny, tiny wee proto-emotions, no frontal brain function or very little, no peripheral brain function, just a solitary streak. It's a hyper-competitive streak. They've ingrained it pathologically. It's become rigid, then hardened, and it's a self-defense mechanism that eventually becomes an offense mechanism and then becomes a sex offender, right? And they get pleasure from it, they get off on it. So, when I've seen these females do this, mainly females, I see guys do it too, but mainly females, it's when they think I'm adding a proverbial straw, right? And they know I haven't tried to, but it's like they're irrational because they don't have function there that helps them be rational. So they're completely irrational. And I'm saying something to them about somebody else who's let them down. I'm just saying it in passing. So they think they think I'm deliberately trying to add this proverbial straw, and I'm deliberately trying to cast up this person's let them down, who must have let them down loads and loads of times in the past. So there they think they think, could this be? So they're in this kind of stymie, neither fight nor flight. And they've got a history with this person letting them down. And here's me, who they're jealous of existentially, envious of, adding the proverbial straw to put them in their place and nail them down. And I'm not, I just mention something to them, and then you see, I'll not repeat it. So the point is, I call that the fricassee, right? They fricassee. And so if that is something that you would exhibit, which you wouldn't, but if you did have that limitation, right, you might be very eager to not show that, and therefore the best defence is a good offence, or a bad offence to be more accurate. So that shite tends to then prey on that part of your brain, because the cunt wants you to suffer their suffrage. It's simple as that. And because they become addicted to it, they then start manufacturing excuses because the front of their brain doesn't function. It doesn't give them insight into their own unconscious, as they've got no feeling in their body. So no feeling in your body, then you've less insight into your unconscious. In other words, you don't feel fear in your body. You don't feel love, sympathy, compassion. You don't feel sentimentality, really. You're just a cold, calculating, selfish maniac. So it may take you a while to get to grips with the psychology of the fucking garbage who've been studying you and trying to break you down. And they might not know that there's other factors which have played into why you've broken down. And these cunts who aggrandise themselves, everything's about themselves, all roads lead to Rome, and Rome's indeed an atrocious place, with them as the emperor. And the point being that you might have broken down for lots of reasons, that the shite will see themselves as being the cause of it. They've deliberately tried to help you break down. They've been deliberately targeting the nerves of your prefrontal cortex. And in a nutcake, it's really quite simple. Every single decision everyone makes, right, is a deliberate choice, right? And so you might be the most helpful person on earth, and these fucking pieces of garbage, right, are deliberately not being helped. Why? Because they're deliberately not trying to improve or do whatever it is that you were believing you were both in on together. Right? So in other words, say you're in a rock group, right? There are members of your group who don't want to be successful. It's just, killing time. You might have been in a relationship and think, you know, there's marriage on the cards. No, she wants to get you in a divorce court and get your money off you, or she's just killing time. And you might have started a business, and the other person, you think, why are they not pulling their weight? I'm doing my best to help them. You know, I'm you know, like wet nursing them. You know, with the guitarist, you're sitting down teaching him his own parts. You know, and with the female, you seem to be having to petition her to be loving towards you, with you, or whatever. Yeah. If you have to petition these spastics, right, it's because A, you were kind enough to associate with fucking garbage like that, whom nobody else would associate with. Hint, hint. Yeah? You lack arrogance, and these cunts don't fucking appreciate that. You see it as an opportunity to try and drag you down, right? Simple as that. We've got a visitor. I love him. I'll show you him later. And the thing is this, so if you're trying to petition anyone as exposing Erol on narcissism, I fucking assure you it's because the cunt's deliberately wasting your time and trying to bite fingers off the hand that feeds them. They are shite, right? You want to get on camera, aren't you? I love you. So I'll show you him in a minute. It's my cat, Peace. I love him. He's beautiful. I should grab him right now. And his brother, Ferrari, because he purrs like a Ferrari. So, here's the thing, right? Those people who will probably no doubt be going out of your life now, or they already have left, right, are abandoning the scene of the crime, because these spastics genuinely see themselves as being energy vampires, right? Because the cunt, when it fricasses, it's exhausted and takes a long time to recover for them, because they're raging, they want to kill. And these cunts don't have feeling in their body, so what is that going on in there? The illusion of feeling? No, just they hate something and want to kill it. That's it. You know, they hate truth. They hate reality being reflected. And in the West, they have killed most of the people who exist in reality. Honestly, I know you're already a star. And the point is this, right? So, these fake fucks, right, have no feeling. It's all fucking bullshit. They don't even have proto-emotions, really. They've got nothing there. It's all bullshit in their head. They're just a cold mechanoid. There's no depth of feeling at all. It's all shite. They're just a gimme, 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 gimme machine. And the rest of the time it's, I want to kill you. If you don't gimme, 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 I want to kill you. So what is it the rest of the time other than that? Just a cold, calculating, existentially envious piece of crap, right? And that's what you've been associating with Baton, right? Whether you're male or female, Baton, right? Highly likely to be male though. However, you know, I don't know, you could genuinely be female. But no fumbling about downstairs whilst I'm on, right? And so, not that you would, if you're Baton, you're as straight as a fucking die, right? So, here's the thing, right? So all the shit who preyed on you may be thinking you are where you are for one reason and they're that reason. It's no doubt a whole host of things, as I've spoken about, going back to my childhood where, you know, horrible females, you know, turned me, my childhood into the story of Cinder Erol, right? And here's the thing, it's very, very, very valid, that story, Cinderella. That fantastic story, because in Cinderella there's two hideously ugly sisters in it, and it's very, very important, that story really, because in it, when Prince Charming shows up with this small glass slipper, these two big fat hogs know damn well that A, they're not Cinderella, and B, their big muckle hooves could not possibly fit into this tiny glass slipper, yet both of them, one after the other, try it on. Right? And it's hanging off their toe. So what I'm pointing out is they lack self-awareness. They are truly hideously ugly. They are horrifically ugly when you see their true self, right? And that's one of the things that they envied most about you, Baton. You're beautiful. As am I. I am. In the right light, with the right amount of drink, I am. So the thing is, right, in an upcake, they're ugly. They're as ugly as fuck. Right? They're truly hideously ugly, right? Because ugliness is of the self, really. You know, because, you know, there's girls and guys you've seen who aesthetically are not superficially what you would call beautiful, yet their character shines right through. And so basically you think to yourself, well, that's lovely, that's a beautiful person, and you don't see them as ugly. However, there's people who, can be attractive superficially. Then you get to know their true self, Baton, and you can't deny these people are as ugly as fuck. An ugliness that goes all the way to the bone, then through the bone, through the marrow, into the mindlessly repeating DNA. How many times, you wee celebrity, do you want to go on? You want to go on? Yeah. Here he is, the star. The star of the show. I love you, Peace. That's his name, we've christened him Peace. I love you so much. He's so beautiful, isn't he? I love you, mate. I love you. I'll let you go. Right, there you go. Right. Back to his milk. Right. Anyway, that's the brother, the younger brother of our first cat, Ferrari. And in Scotland, or as I call it, Denal talks, because most of the people there are backwards. Basically, I would never have thought of having a cat or anything like that, or a dog. However, the cats and dogs of Portugal are just a cut above. Sadly, the people aren't. Most of the people in Lagutrop are amongst the most evil, backward lunatics you could ever fucking meet in your life, man. So it was really quite good for me to finish off studying megalomaniacal psychopaths, which means they're just as primitive as it's possible to be. They're not really classable as human, as I've said. They're really primitive beasts and addicted to this ventral tegmental reward centre, which is the very centre of their solitary pathology. No frontal brain function and no depth. They're just a rabid beast, a beast. And X amount of the people who've targeted you are genuinely fucking beasts. And you could see them dancing, like Salome, right? After John the Baptist's head's been cut off, honestly, I'll make an example of you, the point, I deliberately kept one little insect in here, incidentally, if you see it flying about. It's my director. It gets to choose which camera I change to next. So, in a nutcake, so it might be hard for you to understand at first that, 2 out of every 3 females and 2 out of every 3 female brain owners, in other words, that's so-called homosexuals, and 1 out of every 3 males now, and 1 out of every 3 so-called lesbians, 1 out of every 3, right? Basically, they are beasts in human form, and that's what Zionist Jews have bred, and they hope that's too difficult for you to believe, so they can finish off genociding you using the cannibal sheep who've preyed on you till you're in that fetal position, thinking life's futile. But I'll give you a quick clue. If life's futile, right, why is that neurochemical making the journey to let you feel that, to make you feel that, to encourage you to feel that, to experience that, to think that? Why is that chemical, that neurochemical, making that journey of life's futile? Why does it not just go, oh, fuck it, I can't be bothered, what's the point anyway? Why is it making that journey? Why are all these people in your past trying to slow you down, make you think going in that direction's futile or whatever? Basically, I think unconsciously, these people their jealousy can adversely affect you one way or the other. And they consciously, in their case, try to stop you from getting to where you belong. And yet that's the exact same shite who, if the star, right, and that's what you are, they're a black hole, you're a star, if the star takes fuck all to do with them, Baton, right? Great people take fuck all to do with that shite. And because you lack arrogance, you've taken to do with that fucking shite. The point is, that's his brother, the point is, either that or it's my lizard, Lizzie, I love her. The point is, right, if the star takes fuck all to do with these fucking low-life, common as muck, pieces of fucking garbage, you're beasts, talking beasts, right? Then, of course, they will worship the star, They will give a lot of money over the course of their life to that star by buying their CDs and DVDs, even as gifts for other people, and they'll wait in the rain for 5 fucking hours and pay a week's wages to see them in the distance, not giving a fuck about them, and then walk away with their money. However, you could be much more talented, more beautiful, more moral, more kind, more generous, and more helpful to that fucking shite. In person, the cunt will just drag you down, and that's what they're all about. Black hole of self-destruction, right? And that's what Zionist Jews have bred, groomed, multiplied until you now have acres of what I call Belfields. And I'll cover him if I have a chance. So, it's a good thing if you no longer associate with those people. Because I assure you they're not human. They can bullshit themselves all they want, but neuroanatomically, pathologically, psychologically, provably, on their fMRI brain scan, they're not human by any fucking stretch of the imagination. And I shall prove it. Hold on till I pull my fucking strides up. Oh, bloody hell, fuck's sake. Fucking hell's fire, Elspeth. Right.